Hello, my friends. Today we are going to talk about how to fulfill your life as the here and now by using the human design and the Gene Keys systems. These are the new systems that yet not that much well known, not to talk about it. And if this is the first time you hear about it, you're most welcome to our presentation. So let's talk about what is the human design, what are the gene keys, and how to build a balanced relationship based on the knowledge of this, how to bring the harmonious personality, and how by understanding the basic knowledge, fulfill your life with the high consciousness and in the moment of here now, of course. So, my name is Elena Giannini, and I'm studying my inner world and working on unlocking the human potential for over the 10 years now. My name is Elena, which means light from Greek. So I do say that I do bring light of this knowledge to others through the consultations. 4 years I do study human design and experimented, as well as from 2020 I'm contemplating the Gene Keys by passing the official courses, being a member of the Katrina Medici community, who is the JK ambassador, as well as I'm participating in courses of Direct Rise in the beginning of the studies. Also, my specialization in my own consulting is the self-orientation and dipping into your own profile, as well as compatibility in love relationships and relationships in the family and directly with the children. This is the knowledge for kids, as the founder of it says, but we're going to continue this later on. So why is the human design? Imagine being given a user manual for your life. This is what the human design system has to offer. Simply put it, if you want to, discover how to improve the quality of your life in a simple yet immensely effective way. Make the right moment to moment decisions, resulting in improved relationships and career choices. Manage the challenges that are part of a daily life without getting overwhelmed. The science of the differentiation, that is the human design, has a chart mandala that is shown here in the picture, and it would be including of the 9 centers that are colored inside the body graph itself, and those centers are connected with the 36 channels. And each of the centers include the gates, which are 64 gates. These gates are replicated also in the will. The biggest round of the will is the hexagrams, which are the 64, put it in a specific order, which the Raul, who the founder, has created it that way. And they have, each of them, they have 6 lines and consist of the 6 separate particles. And it does also includes the 13 planetary imprints, which is our the planets that are built our body graph in the moment of our birth, as well as 13 planetary imprints the 3 months before our birth, which is the unconscious of our bodies, and those it forms 26 activations. You might not see the planets over here, but if you will be seeing your mandala, you will see that there are some planets, they're going to be situated in the mandala just somewhere over here, and they will be spotlighted in some of the places. That will mean that it has your own activation. Also, you're going to be seeing over here the horoscope signs and the hexagrams in that are replicated to the gates and their connection to it. So let's have a look. How does the human design system work? A fundamental aspect of the human design is based on what is scientifically known as neutrino. Neutrinos are unusual particles that carry an infinitesimal amount of mass, about 3 trillion neutrinos, and the material information they carry pass through every square inch of the planet per second. The neutrino is the small particle of the atoms that we know as the smallest, though they find out there is a smaller one. And the sun produces about 70% of all neutrinos that travel through our solar system, with the remaining 30% emitted by other stars in our galaxy and a small amount from the planet Jupiter. In 2015, the scientists Taki Kajuta and Arthur B. MacDonald were awarded a Nobel Prize for the discovery of neutrino oscillations, which shows that neutrino that has mass. Rao Ruhu published this as the science behind the human design system as early as 1991. Since the neutrino stream have passes through us, it leaves information, and so within each of us exist particles that connect us to the same stream. At the moment of birth, we are imprinted by the information carried by the neutrino stream via the planets. This imprint is reflected within your human design chart and determines your particular design. This information provides us with the knowledge to understand our nature, potential, and forms of interaction. So here is the article from 1991 published in Neosun Services Ibiza, which says the neutrino, the neon neutrino, and the tau neutrino, they possess an infinitesimally small amount of mass and are manufactured in the stars. So he didn't describe exactly how that happens, though he did give this information as the important information to understand how is the energy working. So the story of the founder. Rao Ruhu was the Human Design Systems founder and messenger. Ra was born as the Alan Robert Krakauer in Montreal, Canada on April 9, 1948, and he spent his early years there. In 1983, he left Canada to travel, eventually finding his way to island of Ibiza, where in January 1987, he had an unusual mystical experience followed by an encounter with a voice, an intelligence far superior to anything he had ever experienced. This encounter lasted for 8 days and nights, during which he received transmission of information, what is known today as the Human Design System. In 1989, after his encounter with the voice, Rauru, who wrote the Rave I Ching, the foundation upon which human design rests and the key to unlocking the code of our genetics. As the oldest of the Chinese classic texts, the I Ching, or Book of Changes, is an ancient divination tool used for over 3,000 years. Ra dedicated the next 25 years of his life to the development and teaching of the system around the world. And here is the founder himself. His manifestor 5-1, that is the left cross of Aquarian, which is shown in his body graph, and that's how the body graph is replicated. So what could you see over here is the body graph with the 9 centers, 36 channels, and the 64 gates in the centers. Some of them are activated by the planets, which are situated on the both sides, with the personality, which is conscious part of our understanding of ourself, is on the right side, and the left side is the red, which is design, and it's our subconscious. So here, these 26 activations with the planets, 13 planets, are going to be colored in the black and red in the body graph itself, and you could see the same numbers in the gates. So let me show to you how it looks. Here is the 51, 57, and here you will find the 51 gate, and here is the 57 gate, and the 57 gate is connected to 20, which is, you can find 20 over here in the Venus. So that's how it works, and that's how could you connect all of the channels and to see which other gates are still going to be hanging that cause when they are not connected in the channels. Everything that of that, it means something, and the one who is going to guide you through this is going to explain to you exactly what each and every number and everything means in your body graph. So the body graph based on the date of your birthday, time, and the place of your birthday. If you would like to build your own body graph, you just have to basically Google. Excuse me. You just have to Google how to build the body graph. If you would like to make your own body graph, you just have to Google build my body graph. Then you have to go to the jovinarchive.com, which is I do recommend, and put your information inside. And also you could save later on your photograph and use it for your own experiment. What are the human design chart, body graph, and mandala means? The synthesis of the Rave mandala include, as I was explaining earlier, the I Ching knowledge, which is the more than 3,000 years ago, which has the hexagrams, as well as it has the Western zodiac, which is based on the will of the 12 signs, as well as Sephirot of the Kabbalah, which is the channel, the connections from the centers. The hexagram itself, which is the gate, and the jinkies are based on that gate, and the chakra, which is the centers here in the human design system. Each of the centers and the gates correspond to a certain potential set on the chemical processes inside your body. Each of the sets of the chemical processes sets certain quality, characteristic, talent, character trait of a person. Here is my body graph. Have a look at it later on what that means. Include 10, 15, 46, 25 gates, which are here 10, 15, 46, 25. It goes like a cup, and that calls the cup of love, and that's a cross, which means that I am here in this planet to bring the love towards myself and the love toward the other people, to everything that is existing in the planet, to every form and shape. And that's what I'm going to teach you while you're going to learn it with me. The basic concept of the human design are certainty, centers, false self, channels, gates and hexagrams, planets, energy types, strategy and authority, profile, and incarnation cross, which I was talking about right now, about my own ones. We're going to go through all of them, and you're going to have big understanding of the picture, what is the human design. So definition and openness. Penned, which as you can see colored, is your genetic imprint. Here it's schematically made in this picture, though you're going to be having your own definition as you saw it earlier in the body graphs. And that's your imprint, and the definition in human design charts. It's everything you see colored in your body graph. That definition is what is fixed and reliable within you and determines how you express your particular traits and skills. That part of you written in pencil, that is conditioning. It can seem hard to erase layers and layers of deeply grooved lines carved into the paper, and is not always possible. Through the human design, you come to see the beauty of the whole picture as it is, and that is there is nothing to do but the perfection of you. Any area in the body graph that is white, not colored in, is not fixed or reliable within you. It is open. Openness represents the places where you are designed to receptive to life, to be receptive. Your openness is highly interesting to your busy mind and can be sensitive due to the conditioning. Your mind develops adaptive strategies here that can lead you away from your true nature when you make decisions from the openness. What are the 9 centers? The ones that are colored are going to be defined, and the ones that are not colors are going to be white in your body graph, and the way centers are defined and connected to each other determines your type, authority, and more. In human design, centers are what we call the geometric shapes located inside the body graph. Centers are focal points or hubs that receive and transform the energy of life force that circulates throughout the body graph. Each center has a specific function, and there are sign spots of how they function correctly and influence behavior when operating incorrectly. So the 9 centers are the head, pressure center, and inspiration center. It's what gives us the information to think about. Ajna center is awareness center, conceptualization, where our thoughts and understanding of how to make any process goes into the understanding itself. So how do we figure out things? Then it is connecting to the throat, which is the manifestation, speaking, doing the way we want to express ourselves. Then we go down to the G center, which is the self-love and direction. Here is the love gates, which are four of them, and the other four are going to make another cross, and this is the direction energy. Those who don't have it, they're going to be seeking for love and the direction. The next one we are going down is going to be the sacral, motor center, life force, and sexuality. This is the biggest energetic center that provides us with the energy to go and move on through anything at any moment. The root, which is more down, is a pressure and motor center, adrenaline and stress, something that pushes us to move. Then you could find on the left hand the spleen, which is awareness center, immune system, and intuition. It's our connection to the bodies from the very ancient times. And on the right of the sacral center, you're going to see the solar plexus, opposite to the spleen, which is motor and awareness center and emotional wave. This is how the emotion goes in our body, a place that stimulates and explain exactly, depending on the gate that you have opened, what kind of emotion you're going to be experiencing in your life. And a bit higher is the heart center, which is the motor center, ego, and willpower. All that we want to do is going to be based here in this center. Not self-theme. Why is your openness to life and your vulnerability to the influence of another? Instead of living our truth, that which is defined and secure in us, we try to become what we are not. When white rules the world, the life of the false self is lived. In such a distorted, disadvantageous choice in the false self, a person spends energy on maintaining the protection of open areas in order to keep it in his short-term memory, keeping it up to date, updating it quickly, and following development trends. Although, in fact, openness is an ocean of opportunities to be original in different ways each time. Everything is possible in openness. I mean, absolutely everything. And so it's just because when we are looking at our openness, we think it's something bad, though it's nothing bad or good exists in the human design. It's just the definition that you have. And once you learn how to use exactly your own energy, you're gonna have plenty benefits of having all the time energy and being very balanced and not being pushed by the root, which is bringing us always in a hurry to be free or to release the pressure that it gives to us. And we're not going to be anymore feeling hard because we didn't do something. The sacral energy, when it's open and in our body graph, is giving us the energy of not knowing when enough is enough. And we keep moving and we keep doing things as a hell and never stop. And it feels like we have plenty of things to do and we never finish and we are exhausted, but we still keep doing them. If you have the spleen open, which is on the left side of the sacral, it's holding on to what isn't good for you. And you're going to be taking some substance and trying different things in your life that are not good for you, having alcohol, any other kind of sugar, or any other kind of the, um, what you call that, mm, addictions. And it could be also the addicted relationship that you don't understand that it's healthy for you, but you keep dipping into it and you feel like you don't find the way out of it. It's all in our open spleen, though we have the solution how to deal with that. Also on the right side, if the solar plexus is open, it tells you about you being avoiding confrontation and truth, not being able to look actually at what is going on and being able to face any information and any emotion. So you might be running away or opposite express more than it even possible because you could just double the other people emotion. The higher of the solar plexus is the heart, which is always asking yourself, do I think I have something else to prove? Prove to yourself, prove to the others, but it's always about the proving and trying to gain something which is not meant for you at all. And your life is spent for gaining and showing to the people. what you're gonna be having in this life, though neither of this you really need. If you will ask your G center, which is fixated on finding love and direction when it's open, and that will be connected with the heart, which is trying to improve his life balance, and always try to make something better and always be looking for the directions. As well as the open throat means that you are trying to attract attention to yourself through the open throats and especially the gates that are hanging. When it comes to the Ajna Center, we are pretending to be very certain about everything we are talking about, again, especially rooted in our open gates, not open, our gates that are hanging gates. And the head, the open head, is thinking about the thing that doesn't at all bring anything interesting to us. And we just keep thinking about that all the time. And we do get busy with the other people's thoughts as well in the open center head. The channels that are connecting the centers is composed of two gates and connected to two centers. When two gates at either end of the channel are activated, this creates what we call definition, described by the colored in channels present in your design. Basically, this can be seen as the communication between the centers. Each channel delines a specific theme or essential aspect of experience in life as a human being within a framework of a greater collective. If you have a defined channel, it characterizes a specific theme, function, or gift that is consistent and reliable. So when you're looking at the channels, the definition created by the two gates connecting the two centers, as you said, you can see the 2343 in the red sign, which is over here, and it will give the channel of the 23 and 43. 25 and 51, it's doubled over here. I was already showing you this gate. 25 and 51 channel connects the G center and the eco center. That, what you see here in this body graph, gives you one definition, which is one center connected to the other, and through this other channels connected also together with the spleen, throat, and it goes all the way to the Ajna center, and is the single definition when all of the energy is connected. Gates and hexagrams. Within each center, there are gates. Gates can be seen as the entry and exit points that establish the flow of communication between centers. A gate that is activated by a planet colored in describes a consistent theme or role in your life. There are 64 gates within the body graph corresponding to the 64 hexagrams of the I Ching, and each gate has 6 lines, which add further detail to the particular role of the gate. That's why they say that human design is the knowledge of the differentiation of each and everybody. A human design chart can have a maximum of 26 activations, which means potential 26 activated gates out of the total of 64. However, it is common to have more than one activation in the same gate, so it will come less than 26 activations. 64 hexagrams in mandala, 64 gates in the body graph. Each gate has 6 lines. Here is just pictured more sprightly about the lines. So what is activated are the planets. Human design explains the impact of the planets on our nature because neutrinos carry the information from the planets to us. Stars in distant reaches of the space are constantly beaming neutrinos everywhere, and they pass through the planets to imprint our bodies. The continual movement of the sun and the planets means that neutrino information passing through us at the moment of birth and is always unique and will never again be repeated. As mentioned in the personality and design segment, there are 2 imprints that create your human design chart: time of birth and the 88 degrees of the sun, approximately 9 days prior to the birth. At these 2 moments in time, the position of the planets in our solar system codified in neutrino information is very specific ways as it streams through our bodies. The planets can be referred to as our local programming agent. This is why Down the ages, we have always described them as gods in our mythologies. Every planet, depending on where it is in your design, lends its flavor to your nature at both conscious and unconscious levels. So what you can see here is there are planets in order in our solar system, and you're going to be seeing Sun and the Mercury, Venus, Earth with the Moon, and the Mars. These are the inward planets that are, they call them the fast planets as well, and being correct in the living the energy of these planets will define how the um, more like slow or they call them also the collective planets, which are the Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, are going to replicate the energies of our of us. How they're going to be played depends on the inner ones. So let's say when the energy of the inner circle is lived correctly, the outer circle replicates as the correct way of living. And if we are going to be working on our planets, then we have to, and the energy that it replicates, we have to go first of all into the first five energies, which are the Sun, Mercury, Venus, Earth, Moon, and Mars. Basic planetary keynotes. The Sun is our vitality, power, will, ego, and leadership, is who we are and what we bring in this world. The Earth is fertility, evolution, design, the root. It's what is developing us and what makes us different each day for ourselves. The Moon, feelings, instincts, change, the body. It's how are we motivated in this life? What are we about here to do? What moves and pushes us, as well as what attracts to us when it comes to the design. North and south nodes. There are two nodes that align geometry, where you're going and where you're come from. So they will be south node will go for our first period of life, which is from the birth to the 42 and up to where we come from. And then it goes to the north codes, which is the other direction, we would say, where we are going to. Let's say that after the 42, we are changing our perspective. So the nodes will be replicating the perspective of the view. What do we see around us in life? Mercury, the mind, awareness, communication, mental life. What did we bring into this world? What do we have to bring? Venus, art, aesthetic, values, relationships, our own inner values is about our own unique codes of what do we replicate. And the design Venus is showing exactly the way our body behaves. So it's a code of our body. Mars, energy, power, desire, assertion, aggression. This is the most difficult energy to get into because Mars and the design replicates our trauma that we were born with, as well as the emotional reaction toward this trauma. It's about the most difficult and the most difficult to control energy. So when it comes to Mars, it's really here to be paid attention. Jupiter, expansion, opportunity, material matters. This is our teacher that explains us what is our law, what do we have to do in the outer world. The Saturn here for limitations, restraint, discipline, focus, pain. It shows us where did we move in the wrong direction. If you do feel yourself any of this limitation or discipline, or you feel yourself uncomfortable, and in this your own energy that is replicated in your Saturn, that means that you did make some wrong moves and you have some wrong understanding of the energy that you carry, and you have to really turn and move into the other direction. So you're going to be having the other side of the energy of the limitation. Uranus, it's our transition, revolution, instability, and invention. It's a unique spot in each and everybody of us. What do we do differently from the others? So we could see from these gates. Neptune, imagination, physic phenomena, and confusion, drugs. That's information about how do we get lost into this world. What do we do with what kind of energy brings us in this black hole. Usually it's unseen in us and we don't really understand this energy, though we could try to look at this and still consider for some time in our focus, and then you're going to discover something interesting out of it. Pluto, regeneration, compulsion, renewal, and unconscious, is the very long-term energy. It goes for nearly 3 years. It's really very collective energy, and we do go in the circles of the transitum Pluto, which has a very huge impact on our consciousness and especially subconsciousness, as it says here. So we have to be really very careful with that energy, that it goes in transit and modified comparing to what do we have in our own body graphs, because that's the definition for as well unknown and something that we are going to deep into for all our life basically. So what are the four types of the strategy and aura do we have in based on our definitions? Humanity mechanically is divided into the four types. Manifestors are about 9% of the population. Their strategy is to inform before they act, to find peace and avoid anger. They have a closed and repelling aura and are here to understand their impact on others. These are the people who are here to tell the others what to do. The generators, including manifesting generators, are the dominant type of the planet with nearly 70% of the population. They are driving life force of the planet. Their strategy is to respond and through the response to find their satisfaction and avoid frustration. They have an open and enveloping aura and need to learn about themselves. So since 70% of people are generators, this knowledge comes for them mostly. And they are, as it was says, the moving part of the whole planet. That's by who all of the changes were implicated in life. They are going to be also led by the projectors, which are around 20% of the population. And their strategy is to wait for the invitation to find success and avoid bitterness. They have a focused and observing aura. They and need to learn about and understand the other. So their aura is tending to look straight into the G center of the generators and recognize who they are, and by explaining themselves to the generators, the generators are recognizing that this projector could show them the way, and they kind of work together, and the projectors they were born to show to the others their own way, and not to be focused on themselves but mostly on how to develop things through the other hands. Which other manifestors are here to say exactly where to look and what to do. They're also working close with the projectors, while reflectors are without definition and are just over 1% of the population. Their strategy is to wait a full cycle of the moon before making decisions to find clarity, leading to a life of more surprise and less disappointment. They have a resistant and sampling aura and are learning to reflect rather than identify. So these are the people who have come to show if everything works correct way. So they are here, if they are living their truth, which they understand their nature, and they're not trying to be somebody they are not, they could perfectly replicate what do they see around and make the changes. So they could show which whether it's a correct or not way for any of the other characters to live their life. So the manifestors, their strategy here is to inform others of what are they here to bring to do, what is their intention, and they are here to express, I'm going to do this or that, or and this and that is going to help me with it. Okay, so these are the channels that are making the manifestors. Uh, either could go the black channels, they are connected to the uh, centers of the emotional solar plexus and ego. From the other side, you can see the connection through the spleen. So without these channels, like if it connects only the down two centers, it will not be the manifester, but either there is a connection from the root to the spleen, and then it goes to the throat center. That would be also the manifester as well. There is one connection from 20 to 34 gates in the sacral center, which is not drawn here, will make the manifester generator, and that's why it comes to the generators than manifestors. The signature is peace, and that means that when you do what you want to do, and you did tell about this to the others, everybody gonna leave you in peace. But when you are the manifestor who's doing things the way you want, you're gonna definitely influence on others, and the others are going to keep dragging you here and there and not letting you be in your own peace, doing your own thing. So that's an important thing, to inform the others to leave you in peace with doing your own things. Not self-thing is anger. So you're gonna be angry when somebody is not letting you be in your own process, and you might be very you might see that in the kids that are still small until the 7 years old. They really show their character very strongly, and it's important for us as adults not to disturb their real nature. So the generators are 70% is we're talking about. The strategy is to respond. The sacral center, which is red square in the center, it have to be defined. Their aura is open and enveloping. These people who you want to come and hug and be around and just involve into. Their signature is satisfaction, and not self-theme is frustration. These are the channels that define the generator. So basically, pretty everything that goes from the sacral center to the other centers and connected by the channels are going to be generators. And the manifesting generator is the one who has somehow connected the centers to the throat, and it's the sacral center is also connected, is going to be the manifesting generator. So these are the kids. Manifesting generators are having an extreme amount of energy and they never stop. They always want to do something. And the people who are manifesting generators, they also have a double energy from the generators regular. They are approximately going into half 35%, and depend on the definition what the gates are there in your body graph colored, you're going to have the type of energy, and it's important to understand. Projectors, they are 20% of the population. Strategies to wait for the invitation or are focused and absorbent. As I was saying about, they have the most amount of the channels, which are only for them projectors, especially when it goes defined on themselves without being connected throughout to the motors. So mostly there are many. There are different type of projectors. There are mental projectors with the energy connected on top, or there down you can see the red colors is a bit different way of the energy in the projectors, because they do have energy to move and do things because their motors are working. So it will really be a very two different projectors with different definitions. One with the mental and another one with the motor energy. And you could see that they do behave and they differently, and their energy is completely not matching. Okay. When we are talking about the strategies to wait for the invitation, it's about people to be invited into everything, the relationship, the some kind of work they are doing, and when they are invited and they feel respond toward it, and especially that goes to the people who they feel good about and good around them, that will bring a lot of satisfaction, success in terms of the signature as recognition from these people, because then they will be like in a good balance for that people. and they will be not having the taste of bitterness. When we are talking about the reflectors, they don't have any energy connected. It's not like they don't have any energies in this body graph. They do have their gates, but the gates are not connected in two centers. And they do have their energy that is replicated depending on the planetary impact, but they are here for like mirrors. They are observing things around, and they are explaining and showing whether that's correct or not, as I was saying before. Mm, the aura is resistant and sampling. You could not really feel this person around you. You can be present around this person, but you feel it like just being around somebody, but you don't really mention this person. It's very interesting feeling that once you know somebody as a reflector, you can definitely feel. The signature is a surprise and not self-image disappointment. What it is about? These people are usually go unnotified, and they are trying to find themselves recognition by the other people. Of course, depend on their definition, they will be having different energies, though these are people who really have to know their design, because when they understand that they are different and they're here not to be mentioned but to be showing the other people whether they're right or not, or they're correct in their nature or not, they're gonna really have lots of surprises in their life, and they would not feel disappointed by not being noticed. So it's really, if you do have any reflectors, I do recommend you go deeper into the design than even regular option. What is the authority? There is inner and outer authority. In a human design, it says that a personal and internal decision maker based on the definition, and the authority is never the rational mind, and each authority operates differently in the body. To truly begin your human design experiment, you will need to know your authority. Combined with your type, this becomes your strategy and authority, the bedrock of a personal development through the human design, and ultimately the only information you will need to make correct decisions in your life. Authority is a tool for you to know if something is right for you or not. Separated into two kinds of authority, inner and outer. Below are overviews of each. Inner authority is the inner intelligence that enables us to know whether a decision is correct for us or not, and is called inner authority. It is as though each of our bodies possesses an inner compass or device that reveals whether something is a healthy and fulfilling use of our energy or not. Our inner authority is a body-based knowing that precedes recognition of the mind. And thus accessing it requires us to become more embodied and to listen better to our bodies. As we do so, we move into a state where we more often experience the signature that results from the correct use of our energy, be it satisfaction, success, peace, or surprise. So there are four different types, and there are many authorities that you could see over here. The first will go for the solar plexus. Once it's defined, it will be the first one that make your authority. The sacral gonna be the second one. Then it goes to the splenic, 111%, ego or self authority, which are the 4%, and then mental projectors and reflectors are 3%. And that's the place what you can trust to make decisions, and it is never the mind. So the human design always says about the inner authority as the points, as the compass, as it was saying, a place where in your body you feel and understand the right answer. And when you try to make it out of your body, not out of your mind, you're going to really feel yourself fulfilled and understood by yourself and others. You don't need any more explanation of why you do something, because you just do, because you just feel so, and you're very sure about your own feeling. When it comes to the outer authority, because there are people as reflectors who have no centers, so what we call outer authority in human design is the ability to provide your authentic perspective. This perspective is derived from your particular design as an expression of your uniqueness. And we, as nine centered human beings, are designed to commune with others and share our unique perspectives about life, truth, and everything in between. We can be of the highest possible service to others when we communicate our insights, ideas, and opinions at the right moment. It may be in the response or when invited to share. Using your mind in this way, it becomes a resource for others. So, when it comes to the outer authority, the true and proper realm of the mind, when liberated from making decisions, outer authority becomes a source of knowledge for others. We do not still take our directions from the mind, but we see of what it has to happen by itself, and um, the things are happening without really our influence on it. So I want just to mention that the strategy that we right now had a look into the four different types, and authority are the main subjects in the human design. And once you know this, you could already start your own experimenting with your own body, start to listen to it. It goes best with the reading of your human design chart. So you have, you know already all of your basic information, and you could start to focus on it time to time, feel it in your body, and go out from your mind. That's the beginning, and it takes 7 years, as they say in human design, to really go to reject the idea of being somebody who is taking the decision all the time, have the control over the things, and try to start to feel your body and do things out of it. Then, in that case, once we come closer to our bodies, we do really um, have the possibility to show our incarnation cross energy, which is the 70% of the energy that we carry. So everyone has a very specific frequency that can be mapped out in your human design chart. The calculation of your personality and design, Sun's Earth, represents 70% of the imprint and consistent energy of your being. This is where we find your incarnation cross. The incarnation cross is the combination with the profile, is what ultimately defines our purpose on the earth. There are 192 basic incarnation crosses in the human design system, each derived from a combination of the themes of our sun and earth positions. Together, they form the whole of our human experience. Your incarnation cross is something that will slowly emerge over time as you live in unison with your individualized nature and culminates in the full expression of your potential. It usually comes into the play around the Uranus opposition, age of 38 to 42, when you have planted a solid foundation and have a clear direction. It is, in that sense, the essence of your purpose through which you can leave your mark on the world. So it's really very important to meet the human design before the 42 have happened to you, in order to understand who are you, what is your nature, and move accordingly to it. So the outer planets that we were talking about earlier will really shows you in a good way and shows you that you're going into the right direction. You can see in this Mandela incarnation cross, which is always going to be opposite to each other, and here you see exactly 10, 15, 46, 25, which is my um, incarnation cross, how it goes on the will. And it replicates in the G center in the middle. You can see there is the black and red activations. So as we were talking about, this is the personality and design, sun and earth. It's 192 possibilities. It's 70% of our imprint in this planet, what the main purpose that we have to obtain in this life. And how exactly to uncover it will be um, defined by the number that goes after the gate number, and it will go to the profile. That's how the profile is based, and it's another component of the human design, can be seen as a costume that we wear in life while learning to play specific roles. These roles enrich our experience in life as we engage with and impact others through our particular part. Altogether, there are 12 profiles, with the six primary roles representing basic themes in combination with each other. Profile is derived from the positions of the Sun and Earth in both columns of the chart. On the personality side, this is something you are going to resonate with. The calculations in black on the right side of your body graph. And here you find themes, attributes, and behaviors you will recognize and identify with. On the design side, which is red on the left side of your body graph, the line values of the sun and earth accounts for the second number in your profile. This represents your unconscious behavior, attributes, and needs. You're really gonna be noticing that things after you start to focus on it and that energy that exists in you. Both of the numbers in your profile combined represent keys aspects of you, and a main part of understanding our purpose is coming to terms with the roles that we play. So there are two type of profiles, and they will be defined by the personality number, which is here shown as the 1, and the design as 3. So the 1-3 will go to the 1-3 profile, then it goes to 1-4, 2-4, 2-5, 3-5, 3-6, 4-6, 4-1, 5-1, 5-2, 6-2, and 6-3. Each of them has their own definition, and we are going to learn that on the reading. Definitions and compatibility. Definition is what is consistent and reliable within us, as we learned earlier. It is what creates our type and determines our strategy and authority, the main project of the human design. Definition in the body graph shows us a schematic of the way energy flows within us. It is also determines how we operate, how we interact with others, and what we look for in others. A crucial aspect of how we relate to and connect with others is that some of us look for close tribal connections in order to bond, while others function more independently. There is a broad spectrum of ways we interconnect depending on the particular configuration of our body graph. There are 4 different kinds of definition. Single, a continuous connection. Split definition, 2 areas of definition separate from each other. Triple split definition, 3 separate areas. And rarely quadruple split definitions, 4 separate areas. And very rarely there is no definition. So there are different definitions as we were talking about, and you can see here the single, split, triple, and quadruple split. When the channels connected separately, connect separate centers and they're not connected all together. These things has a big meaning when it comes to the compatibility, because usually we are looking for somebody who can connect our centers together. So let's say in the split or triple split, which is happening more oftenly, you can find, you will be looking for people who will connect, for example, in this case here through the throat or the sacral center in the triple split. So you will be looking for people who could make your own feeling harmonious, balanced. When you somebody who can by being around with, you can feel yourself as single, as united, and there is no more 2 or 3 persons or hanging in your head and telling you what to do and pulling you into different sides. So what you can see here is the way that relationship happens. There are 2 individuals on the sides. They have their own photographs, and you can see that, for example, here in the circles up in the red circles, it shows that the first individual with the ajna center defined and the throat center gives to the other person energy, and when it goes together to the relationship, the other person will feel more aware about his own actions, and through speaking about it he could get more into the details and feel and understand himself and what he needs to do. And by connecting to the other centers, which are the 2057 gates connected to the spleen, which is again not showing on the other second individual, will show him the way, if this makes sense to make it right now, if it's healthy for him to do, if it gives any positive aspect towards him, toward this person. Would you feel comfortable for yourself? Like, do you need that to do? And do you need that to do because you want it to do, or just because you have because you need, you will be feeling whether it's a need or just something you really want and you would do. Also, you could see that the relationships gives the other person the feeling of energy, which is the sacral center, and emotional center. The energy of the second person with the channel of 659 that connects the sacral and the emotion gives the other person the energy for living, gives the emotion, gives them push the meaning since there are motors, give them the feeling of aliveness and activity somehow. Also the second person on the right side has very a lot of energy in his root, which is not colored and not defined even when it comes to the relationship, though they're going to be having a lot of push together, and that will be something that will move this couple to do things together because they would have energy for uh, for doing things. Okay, so like a push to finish something, to do something together, to separate the responsibilities, to take care of the things. Also, what is important in this two separate individuals is that the first person, which is on the left, is somebody who is more like mentally thinker, is the person who always express himself and tells what does he think is right to do in the moment, and mostly it will be best for himself. Why? Because he has the channels that are individual channels, and they're about expressing your own nature. So it will be a very selfish somehow person who will be trying to make things what is good for him, for his own personality. And also he will be quite if it goes to the low level energies, it will be somehow inaccurate toward the others, and it could be expressing of himself in the not always a good way, directing the other, saying what to do because he knows how to do out of his knowledge, okay, out of his mind. And also sometimes it will be the shocking energy because this person has the energy of the shocking energy and the anger center that knows what it wants, and sometimes it really gives very stressing moments for the others, while the second person on the right has the energy of so there are two energies. One is tribal, it's for making his creating the family, taking care of the family and making everything for the family to grow, okay, and taking all of the responsibilities that goes with that. And it's also the emotional, very emotional energy that either brings conflict or ruins any conflict in a way. It make it very diplomatic between the other people, and within the family could rule a very big conflict to an end. And also it's an energy of his own timing. It's an energy of overall loving people and doing things out of that energy of making things for people, trying to make better for them in his own way, but though it will be still remaining to the people. So this personality has a very small amount of his self-own energy, though he has the G center closed, which is colored and defined into his own way of love, though this person is more about loving the others and taking care of the others, and could be having problems with that in order to connect his own love to others with the I would say need of love of himself, and feeling his own body as the vessel that carries the others. Once he would understand that he is a part of this process and he loves himself more than anybody else, that's why that's how he could bring more better things to the others. And what is interesting is that when these two people are combining together, um, the first person, the more individual one and mental, is going to push the other person in the way of like just by expressing his own personality and what he likes to do and how he feels himself, the other person is going to feel restricted somehow, not comfortable by being pushed, and it will be very difficult for him to maintain the family, while the other person will be just doing things what is in his mind, what he wants to do. So when it goes to compatibility, it's really very important to understand the nature of each other. And when for one person is important individual expression, and for another person is important to be good for others and maintain the family, um, you could keep blaming each other for being like this or that, but at the same time you could know that one person gives the other this understanding of himself and feeling of what is how he could express himself, while the other could give him the energy for the family. So in the good way, relationship would really bring a lot of benefits, but just you have to really know your nature and not being blinded by the open centers as that you have or you don't, and the open centers that you don't have but you see in the others as yours. So you cannot see the other person that he knows what to do, so you're going to be having it. No, next to the person who knows what to do, you might be having understanding of what to do, but it's just your way of taking this person um, idea. If you will be surrounded by the other person with the defined center of understanding how to do things, which is the ajna center, you're going to be seeing things in the different way. So it's really a tricky and very important to know your nature. Again, I will mention about that in order to be taking only what is truth for you and what is yours, and not being grabbed by the understanding of others. So, when it comes to the upbringing and nature, human design makes it possible to solve many hot issues for our time in today's world. One of the most important among them is eternal question of nature and upbringing. Are all of our actions predetermined by our birth genes, or does our upbringing and environment determines who we become in life? The answer is going to be both. In the body graph, nature is represented by the color and upbringing is represented by the white spots on the canvas of children's perception of the world. This is what we were talking about just right now. And the same way we do influence on our kids when we are explaining to them what they have to do or how they have to see their own life, and they don't have the definition. Once they go out from your own aura, they're going to see something else, and they're going to definitely question your way of seeing or living life, and they're going to definitely push you and show you that the way you think is not the way it have to be. So you might be moving your own understanding and see it as just a possibility. What does a level of consciousness mean? And do we have any possibility to influence on it? Do we have the possibility to influence on our kids uh, and on ourselves, first of all? So I want to show you over here that there are different level of consciousness. This was the scientifically proved calibration of the consciousness and of the energy of the way we feel ourselves, which goes from the very low energy, which is down, and the feeling of the being victim or abuser in the strong position of our consciousness. It's the ego level, and it goes to the hell purgatory. It's a place where we really live hell on the earth. It goes the third dimension. It's the feeling of the shame, guilt, apathy, grief, fear, desire, anger, pride. That goes to that feeling, and it's really killing, I would say. So there are people who really live in that feelings just because somebody or something made them feel so. So when it comes to people who you see that they are victims or abusers and you know about them, you might be recognizing that kind of energy in them. Who makes them that way is themselves and their own ego self. And who, in which hands is it to change this? It's in their hands. But you could be a window. You could be the one who can show this person. You could be the one who will show, who will see that in the other people. And through the gene keys and human design, you're going to discover the other person different sides, the bright sides. And once you start to have a look And if this happened, that somebody around you is in these low frequencies, and you don't know what to do with that, and you're in the question in between, because you have in between feeling, and you don't know whether you need to stay with this person because you have something in common, or you have to split, or if there is any way out, because you already start to feel yourself in a higher level. You could start to observe in the other person his good sides, and once you will start to see that, the other person will recognize you being different, you being in the higher energy levels, and he will start to be seeing in himself the higher levels of himself as well. So you could be a gate, you could be somebody who shows the other person his possibility of his other side, and one day he might be saying thank you, or you could just really understand the to see this other person's side, be thankful for him, and easily leave this situation, and feeling comfortable yourself in your life after all. So in between is a rational liner and emotional self, which goes from courage, neutrality, willingness, acceptance, and inner light. uh, so now inner light is already going to the paradise, is the higher self, is the somebody who goes into the new humanity consciousness. It's the level where actually nowadays have to happen a strong change, and the people who are coming nowadays, they are going to be living in the very high level of consciousness, which is this paradise level. It's not yet the highest, though the highest is the level of the god, so it's quite difficult to get over there. But it's a big change happening nowadays, from the third dimension to the fourth, and to the new humanity consciousness, which is about the inner light, inner wisdom, and inner love, as the inner feelings that are going to bring themselves, like you have to find them in you, this light, wisdom, and love, and transfer it to the um, other people through seeing the bad in them, and making them seeing good in them. That's what I was describing a bit earlier. When it goes to the heaven level, it's the planetary self, galactic, universal, causal, super causal, and absolute level. Goes to the openness, presence, non-duality, awareness, great void, divine grace and love union, supracausal truth, full consciousness. It's the self-realization level, where you become, there is a word called enlightenment, and you can see that in the yellow line, whereas I am presence, I am enlightenment, so I am in light. I'm somebody who already have discovered all of my nature. I lived it, I knew it, I discover, I experience it, which the human design offers, I transform it, which is the Gene Keys offers, and I get into the presence. I dissolve all of my negative emotions, all of my negative feelings, beings. I dissolve the feeling of self-understanding the way I do understand. I recognize my absolute self, and I am in light of who am I, the true me who was brought here in this universe. So the raw spectrum of consciousness built by the Gene Keys, the Gene Keys creator I'm going to talk to you about right now. I just want to show you that the same spectrum is going into the 64 numbers, which are the gates, which are the hexagrams. And it has introverted and repressed nature, and it has extroverted reactive nature. These two natures, they go into the shadow level, and the shadow gift and siddhi are the three definitions, which will come over here as we were seeing. As the victim will be the shadow, self-empowerment is the gift, and the self-realization is the siddha level. So each and everybody of us is living in between of there. Most often people, they go in between the shadow and gift levels, though many of us are already jumping in the siddhi level, since it's really a changing moment in the planet. And this depends on your definition that we were talking about by the planetary. You're going to be having some numbers, and when it comes to, let's say, let's take my cross, which is 10. Self-obsession, shadow, when it goes to either self-denying, fully unaccepting of anything that comes to your shape, and the person becomes not loving and not caring of himself, up to the narcissistic nature, which is the reactive, and it goes to the person who is too much in love with himself. Then you understand that this is just a way of seeing yourself, and you go and you refocus from the self obsession to other people, to the other things around you, and you start feeling naturalness. So when you go around and you really lost the focus of yourself, you become very, I would say, diluted into all of um, the names and the shapes, and you really lose your own feeling, and you become together with everything. You feel things in their own way, the way it goes, and you accept the way it goes, and you still recognize in there yourself and you recognize others, but it's not anymore focused onto yourself, and you feel yourself very easy. The 10th drink goes with the easiness. What is easy? That is the right way, and that will bring you to the being. Being means just being in that moment where you are, um, and completely salute yourself to something higher, and just experience your own self, and what are you here to do by removing any of your ego questions, and just be in, and bring what you had to bring, because in the moment, in the way of Siddhi, you just do things you should do, and you don't do things that you shouldn't do, and it just appears by itself what it have to be done. So Richard Rudd created the 64 gene keys based on the 64 iTunes hexagrams that we were seeing in the will, and here on the picture as well in the big circle, and the level of consciousness which is connected to our DNA. It was scientifically proved that our DNA consists of the same 6 lines as the 6 hexagrams, and they have 64 connections that are also based on the 4 basic prototypes and or small particles, the same as we have the 4 type of auras. Okay, so that really defines who we are, and is scientifically proved that the DNA is connected to the gene keys. Based on the nature's code, the gene keys are a basic tool for understanding human behavior and potential. The code of the highest human evolution is determined inside the human body. It's a transcendent state of compassion and inner freedom. This is the highest purpose hidden within your DNA, for the awakening of which 64 gene keys were created. Recent breakthroughs in biology point to an amazing truth. Your DNA, twisted into the spiral code and made who you are today, doesn't control your destiny. Instead, your attitude tells your DNA what kind of person you want to be. So, as we were talking about, there is a different state, shadow, gift, and siddhi, which is define the type of energy, but your attitude tells in which exactly level of consciousness you're going to be. This means that every thought, feeling, word, and action that comes into your life is imprinted in every single cell of your body. Negative thoughts and emotions cause your DNA to contract, while the positive thoughts expand and release tension. This process goes on throughout life, from the moment you enter the world until the moment you leave it. And you are the sole architect of your own evolution. Once you understand this, everything is changing. The Richard Rudd and his body graph over here was brought as generator 4-6, which is here to generate something new. 4-6 means for the other people and being a teacher for the other people with the right cross of consciousness. So it's very logical that he brought the levels of consciousness to the life as something to be focused on, and to see it from a different angle, and really involve into it and make our life easier by understanding who we are. So he was, by the way, the one of the first students of the human design system, and he also from this and through this knowledge, he have created um, the gene keys. And for me, the biggest difference between these two knowledge is that the human design is very constant and stable knowledge. It gives you the who you are, strategic and understanding and the basic nature, while the gene keys are giving you a tool in your hands to manipulate your energy and bring yourself into the different dimension, who you want to be, which energy, which frequency you want to be in, and what kind of reality you want to create in your life. So it really gives you the way out of destiny subject, though you are still within this destiny. So this double understanding of being in some frame picture but still create something on it gives me a feeling of being able to do something, change and change myself, change my own thoughts, change my own reality, and make it bright for myself, for the ones who live around me, and to bring it to the others. That's why I do call myself that I'm bringing light. So the golden path is the trilogy of the conscious living. uh, Richard Rudd have seen, because he also mystically, in the mystical way, have seen the sequences from the biograph that goes and they are combined in a unique self-discovery path. The activation sequence is the discovering your genius through the four primal gifts, which is the incarnation cross. The Venus sequence is opening your heart in relationship, and that's basically how it all goes when it comes to who you are and how do you react. When you were talking about the trauma that you were born with and our ways of reaction on that trauma, it's very interesting discovered about the periods of the 7 cycles periods when a child is stabilized himself, which is from the 0 to 7, 7 to 14, and 14 to 21. Then it goes the other 7 years for finalizing and stabilization. And from there, the 30 years, the person is developed and fully functioned, and he's ready to live the other 10 years to be in his highest production in that period from 30 to 40. And then from there, it goes, the life is questioning you. How did you live? Where did you get? What exactly did you see on yourself? How did you work on yourself? Okay, and it's really connected to people. So the Venus sequence is about the relationships, and it's really mind-blowing and completely life-changing experience once you go through the Venus sequence, because this is the most important part of this trilogy. Pearl sequence is achieving prosperity through the service. So it's about why are we here to what are we here to bring in the planet, what kind of prosperity we could have out of it, what is our way to prosper, how it connected to our genes, and how could we bring it up to life. So collected in a single integrated journey, these sequences together represent the golden path. You can see a voyage of self-illumination through these three sequences as the physical part one sequence, when you discover your genius, the emotional part, which is Venus sequence, where you open your heart, and the mental sequence, which is the pearl sequence, when you liberate your prosperity. And it's the way to go through them, the activation, Venus, pearl. Those, it could be changed and you could start from one or another, but still you might be coming back to all of them because they are really working together. So once you do, for example, the Venus sequence, and you start to feel your energy and open your heart, the rest of the gene keys are also start to go in the other level of consciousness together with those which you already open, and it automatically brings you to a different direction and align you with your path. Once you work then, or you come back, or you work with any of the other ones, you already feel the same way, at the same level of your consciousness. So when it comes to I just want to say that any of the keys you will start to work with will raise the other energy, the other keys, the other definitions. And it's the process when you raise your energy just by focusing on something one. All right. That's why it is important to go through the gene keys, and there is something called transits we're going to talk about right now that makes sense, because when you align yourself with something, with one energy, it doesn't matter even if you don't have it in you, you're gonna be already feeling something inside of your body, some transactions, and you don't always can explain it, but it started already working with you. So the Jinkies is the system that brings you to yourself through just observing, which is the contemplation, which is the art of contemplation by Richard Rudd. He writes and he explains the easiest way of contemplation. He says in this book that there are three ways of the self-discovery, which is concentration, meditation, and contemplation. And the gene keys are designed to be contemplated and learned over time. So that's what I was talking about. When you take some point, and as you can see here in this picture, it's one point that you look at, one of the 64, and it already starts to work. This is the picture that explains exactly these words. Each key contains a unique message that takes time to digest before you feel the change in your life. Contemplation is much more than just thinking about something. It is the direct perception of universal truth on the physical, emotional, and mental levels. It really takes you to unknown, and you don't when you don't expect anything, and you just start to process the contemplation of your keys, things magically change. It happened in my life, it happens in many lives of those who start to make it, and you're going to see the difference once you get into this. So the concentration is the way when you do concentrate on something specific, and you put and you focus all of your energy into that. In this way, as of me, you're losing the rest of the things out of your focus. So you have to concentrate on something one, and it have to be very concentrated moment. So it have to take lots of your time. The meditation is dissolving, so you can somehow you lose yourself and your things and out of focus everything. So it's also the way that you have to have time for. And the contemplation is the way where you are dilute yourself into whatever happens, but you're still there, you're still present, observing, you're still doing your duties. You are not making something specific out of um, extraordinary. You just live your life, but you start to mention what is happening to you. And that's a conscious level that brings you to where you are, and it starts to bring you a higher level of consciousness. So it's really very interesting way. I do recommend you to join Telegram, just being, which is actually, this is in Russian. If you want to have an English option, I would give you another link where we discover our dark and left and light side. As here on these pictures, they sit together and we could talk with each other. We could see both of the sides. We could see how this involves in us, both of the sides. How do we react? Why do we react this or that? But we see as like that on this picture ourselves from a side, and we see both of our sides, and we can choose what do we want to be, who do we want to be. We mentioned both of our parts, and we're not more anymore running from it or hiding or pretending they were not there. For this, and in this group where I what do I do is I explain the transit of the hexagrams and their influence on us. So there is this will, the same as in the body graph, but here the main focus is for the will itself and for the energy that goes in a circle. What that means, there is always like we have a new year. The new year we get used to happen the 31 December, which goes to the 1st January, and usually this energy goes into the 38th gate. The 38th gate is not the gate for the starting energy. In fact, in the gene keys and the human design, the 41 energy has the energy of the start. That's a start codon, is the single codon that has its own, it stands by itself. And this is the um, code of energy here in this hexagram. This energy brings the beginning to all of the activations in our DNA. That's from where it starts. Every action we're going to be doing, every thought or any connection happens in our body as a chemical connection starts from this energy. So this energy is as a starting codon, and it's really also connected to the other horoscopes and other calendars where the new year starts. In the Chinese, they do start closer to this date, as well as in the Mayan calendar. They go over here in the 31 energy, and that energy is opposite to the 41, just because they have in a different time, and when we have summer they have winter and opposite. So it's really a very close to the many nationalities or many very old traditions, religions, when people they start their new years, and you can feel something new is happening around approximately in that time. It comes to the around 21, 22 January, and from there it starts the uh, new um, new year that has each activation, each key has 6 lines, so it goes to the 6 days, and within that 6 days we have specific energy. So today we have, for example, the start of the 13 energy, which goes after 41, 19, 13. And it's going to bring a new hexagram, new understanding. It's the beginning of the new, they have understanding in human design and gene keys as different quarters, and this is the quarter of initiation. So it's a time to initiate different processes in our life. This time it will be going for the 3 months, and the next 3 months we are going to observe if we are bringing our consciousness higher in the focus about what is starting, and going into these processes and see and go along with that. Once we do it this way and we don't try to ruin that's way the things the way they goes, and when we don't try to create something out of our mind, but we go with the process of what is coming to us, that really brings us peace and understanding of our own nature. Once we try to implement something that is not working, but we still keep trying, and we go deeper into the process of self-destroying. It's simply shown in the level of consciousness picture and the spectrum of our gene keys, when we either, as I was explaining, the 10th gene key, go in the easy process of what is happening with us, or we just go against it and use our minds, and we try to fight our life and everything around. So it's our choice. What are we going with? When there are transits happening, you could align yourself with the energy and you could understand what's going on right now around, observe it, and once you will start to observe, you will see that it really makes some sense, that we are attuning to this collective will, because this is the collective consciousness, and by that collective energy things are happening in the world. Here in the right picture, they all of the gates are put it into the symbols, symbols, like picture that explains what it consists of, because every 3 lines they have their own symbol, which is the lake, fire, wind, earth, mountain, water, the flashback, the one that is the thunder and the flashbacks, not flashbacks, flashlights, and the sky. So these are the energies I read from down to up, and then again you could read it from left to right. The same will be, and they combine into the 64 hexagrams. It's a very interesting combination that we are going to observe in our wheel, and we are going to connect with each and every one of them, and I'll explain how to make it, so then you will feel yourself connected with the whole. So I want just to say, why do we need a sacrifice sense of being the victim state, the low level? Why do we people live in that, and why do we keep being there and we don't want or we don't mention the other options? Is because we recognize yourself alive in this process when we strive for something, when we really fight for the things to happen, when we fight for the families, when we fight for some projects, when we fight for loving ourselves and having the new diet or the new relationship, when we cannot leave it to be the way it is and observe it either it's for us or not, this feeling of fighting and of trying to um, emotional stress that we are going to have, and this all the continuous mental process of the things in our head makes us feel unique in our suffering. It makes give us a way to understand ourselves and to attract love. It's the way that we are pushed by the inner hormones to um, indicate who we are to the others and attract their attention. A person who is not a victim or not the one who is the other side of the victim, the aggressor, doesn't require attention. It's the person, it's a quiet person. Being quiet doesn't mean to be quiet completely. It's just a person who is more harmonious. Okay, so it's really important. It's in our hands. Either we do create this harmonious human in our get out. There are two methods we could do this. There is a practical, Jenkins is a practical thing, which is it's forever way. Form and play the worst version of the shadow victim, and then the total archetype of its most negative form, accept it, and that it will always exist. And this is your personal prison punishment of the life. Find the advantage of this. The second option is the surrender. You should accept yourself unable to get out of the victim in the shadow state and realize yours helplessness as a puppet in the global play in the life force. Dissolve into it, let go of control and responsibility toward it. We could make it in meditation, we could make it more deeply work on it, but there are two ways that you had just to know about. So once you leave, you give it a place, you highlight the form of and manifest in your life your victim states. You could really see how you influence on the others by playing that worst part of yours. Thus, it's very important not to get stuck in the ability to get high from the victim and the shadow state and not to be played by that, because the transition to gift is the most important state, because the victim and shadows they always they're finishing and they are like as breakthroughs to the gift. So it's just a step that we have to uh, go through and continue our path to the higher consciousness. I just want to mention again that consciousness is not a control but the observation, which is contemplation here in the Jinkies, and it gives us the sole responsibility for our own existence with complete acceptance of yourself and the world around you. It gives you the mature emotional intelligence and the satisfaction with the present brings you all over the time. Um, what I do invite you is to walk with me through the sequences of the golden path. And I want to explain what is this for. You will be able to see what is preventing you from being whole and what qualities do you need to work on and where to focus your attention so that your body is healthy and full of energy. Your relationships become harmonious and conscious, and your realization in society brings you pleasure from life. You are offered a very soft and fascinating path through the most sacred corners of your inner and outer world. I'm going to make this golden path and golden path experience with the group. So would please follow the announcements on the pages. And if you would like to share your experience in the small group. And it's always better when you make it together with somebody, because when you go in your own development, it could take different time and could take you to different direction that you are not really ready for. Once there is nobody who understands what you're going through, it's going to be a difficult process. Once you're making it together with somebody, it's like a hand to hand, and there is it's like an open community where people understand what you're going through and they're going to help you through no matter what is happening, and they could show you the way. So it's really a very important thing to move on through with the people. I'm telling you this from my own experience because I've tried it different ways. And when it goes to the darkest part of your own life, and when you're by yourself and there is nobody to help you with that, it's quite challenging. So really going in the team, in the group, in the open-hearted people of people who open in their heart is the best thing that can happen to you. Please remember that you are the light and you are the unique human that you could discover through your own human design. And you don't have to waste lots of time for understanding who you are and second that all for many years through yourself and through the other people and through the situation that happens to you. You can just simply look at your map and read and understand who you are and what you're here to do in this planet. What do I offer? I do the basic readings of your human design chart. I do the readings of the gene keys chart. I do the full unique observance of by the human design and the gene keys together. It goes for 1.5 hours or 3 to 4 hours. And I do give the written reports with the audio recording, as well as I also do the consultation on request for the hanging questions, pair compatibility, the child's card analyze. I do the packages of services, which is who we are for each other, that are including two body graphs and compatibility, as I was approximately showing in the compatibility charts earlier, and my legacy package, which includes the parent child and could be including all the family if it needs, plus each member additionally. Um, my information is mentioned here. It's Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, Viber, Telegram, my email. You could contact me anywhere, and I'm here to help you find your own light, bring it to your heart, and highlight it fully so you could discover yourself and you could discover the world in the bright colors. Thank you for attention. I'm happy to assist you with anything, and if you have any questions, please knock